Just because nobody can do your inner work for you does not mean that you can, should, or need to do it alone. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, please make sure you make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button. Give the bell a few kisses so you're not missing any of this content designed to help you with your mental health or help you help someone else. And today, before we dive into my first time hearing Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, BetterHelp. Look, I'm a mom, which means I'm currently bracing myself for the chaos that summer will bring with my son out on break. It can be really hard to find time to take care of our mental health, even in the realm of self-care rituals. My last bath was subject to 4 knocks, and of course they were all really important, Mom. Trying to get someone who can watch my son while I go to an appointment can be end of days since I don't have any family or large local friend circle. I am so happy and grateful to know that if I become overwhelmed or my mental health starts to take a hit over the summer, I have quick and affordable access to a licensed therapist online. Video calls, phone calls, or messaging is so much easier to fit into my mom life than grinding my gears trying to get into an office. As a special offer to all my viewers, BetterHelp is offering 10% off your first month of professional online therapy. Just go to betterhelp.com/Amanda Webster. That's betterhelp.com/Amanda Webster. And I'm so grateful to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Like I said, today I'm going to be doing Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse, and this is a request from my amazing Patreon, William Morales. Thank you so much for your continued love and support. I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. Guys, if you haven't had a chance to check out my Patreon, make sure to do so. Link is in the description. There's so many perks, and every single dime goes toward my mental health outreach. So make sure to check that out. Like I said, link is in the description, but I haven't done any Falling in Reverse. I only did one song before, and I am really actually very excited to get back in because I really loved it the first time, and I was sitting there kind of waiting for someone to give me a little nudge back onto this wagon because I was very impressed the first time. So let's see if this is just as good.
Yeah. I wake up every morning with my head up in a daze. I'm not sure if I should say this, fuck, I'll say it anyway. Everybody tries to tell me that I'm going through a phase. I don't know if it's a phase, I just wanna feel okay, yeah. I battle with depression, but the question still remains. Is this post-traumatic stressing or am I suppressing rage? And my doctor tries to tell me that I'm going through a phase. Yeah, it's not a fucking phase, I just wanna feel okay, okay. Yeah, I struggle with this bullshit every day, and it's probably cause my demons simultaneously rage. It obliterates me, the sense overwrites me, I'm about to break down.
I want to rewind that and catch that, but the assumptions and accusations made against people who are struggling with their mental health are just absolutely staggering. And the way that many interpret depression and sadness and use them interchangeably really does not help the cause at all. It more often than not leads to the scenario of someone who tries to come forth and say that they're depressed being met with, well, everyone is sad sometimes, or they are told that they should and can just get over it. And that just drives me absolutely insane. But the synonyms listed here for destruction, the disintegrating, annihilating, those synonyms really reminds me of all the times that I tried to find different ways to explain to people what I was feeling because I was just so desperate to be understood. And I tried to find all these different ways of explaining that to people and explaining that the depression symptoms were just absolutely killing me. And I just felt like I was hosting this soiree in my head, just this party where I'd invite the symptoms for tea and crumpets. But the courtroom, that was powerful because it often feels like people around you are trying to be the judge, jury, and hangman, and eventually you just kind of flip a switch and snap. And that is what that represented to me, is you get tired of everyone feeling like they deserve to have these roles.
I think I'm going nowhere like a rat trapped in a maze. Every wall that I knock down is just a wall that I replace. I'm in a race against myself, I try to keep a steady pace. How the fuck will I escape if I never close my case? Oh my god, I keep on stressing. Every second that I waste is another second sooner to a blessing I won't take. But my therapist will tell me that I'm going through a stage. Yeah, it's not a fucking stage, I just wanna feel okay. Okay, motherfucker, now you got my attention. I need to change a couple things, cause something is missing. And what if I was a lie? Tell you everything is fine. Every single fucking day, I get closer to the grave.
I know what that's like to feel like you're just kind of marching toward your death on some level, that it's just when you're having that dread and you go, oh my gosh, I am this mortal, and you feel like it's getting closer and closer because you're stuck in this cycle. Of course, a person that is struggling is searching for a way out. That's evident. Everyone's looking for a way out. And oftentimes, though, they're in some ways subconsciously blocking a resolution for escape or a resolution for comfort or any kind of resolution to move forward with their mental health. Other times they might be reaching out only to have their hand smacked away. They reach out to someone who doesn't understand, who doesn't know how to respond, and they preferably get their hand smacked away. And that's going to make anyone feel discouraged and desperate and unloved and helpless. And we've all been there when you try to open up to somebody and they just don't know how to respond, or they respond in a negative, toxic way. I feel in some way like popular monster, the term popular monster means to describe the circular prophecy of becoming what people accuse you of. So you've started to subconsciously adapt the traits that they've assigned to you. And for example, you've started believing that you're crazy because someone or several people have assigned that title to you, if that makes sense. Or being a liar, that's a really popular one that I felt a lot of guilt for during my times of immense struggle, because I didn't start out that way and I don't have the intention to be dishonest, but I feel cornered into not divulging my state of mind when somebody says, how are you? Are you okay? I feel cornered into not divulging that because that person asking has proven that they are not offering a safe place for me to be honest, or maybe I just don't know them well enough, so I haven't built that trust yet. But that knowing that your honesty could trigger a toxic or invalidating or ignorant reaction can be really discouraging. But there's always other people that will react in a more positive and affirming way.
Monster!
I took that as a reconnecting to innocence when she shows up. It was kind of this reconnecting to innocence because, again, he's becoming the monster that everyone's accused him of being. He's finally snapped, and then that innocence comes in and helps him to realize what he's done, and that can also be perceived as the guilt of looking and realizing what you've done. And I've definitely been there a lot of times when I've dysregulated and just completely spiraled out of control, and then I look around at the carnage and go, oh my god. And it does take that reconnecting to innocence or reconnecting to your realities being grounded to snap out of that. It takes something pretty severe usually for me to snap out of it, or I just have to go kind of within myself or just take some time for myself to be able to navigate through that, to really navigate through that. Falling asleep at the wheel is really metaphorical to me, because if you think of this in terms of Dexter and his dark passenger, if you are familiar with that show and that term, Dexter has named his dark urges, his dark passenger. And if you think of it in that terms for the depression symptoms, this is the process of this entity taking over. Like in his case, it was a monster. This is the process of the entity taking over. And inevitably, it usually wreaks unintentional havoc, right? And you get to a point where you're tired of trying to put on a face for people, put on this mask for people, and you're tired of compartmentalizing and pretending that things are okay when you feel like you're dying and your insides are just melting, and that shadow part of you takes the wheel as a defense mechanism because you're feeling attacked, you're feeling afraid, and the shadow takes control. This dark passenger monster takes control as a defense mechanism. And I got to the point where I had to have a talk with mine and say, look, I know that you're trying to do this to protect me, but give me a chance to try to utilize these other things, because we didn't like the results that we've had in the past when we did things your way. So let's just try it a different way. And I know that you fall in love with falling apart because you get so familiar with that cycle that it might be the only thing predictable in your life, the only predictable factor in your life. And if it's the only constant, then of course you're gonna adapt this really unhealthy admiration for it, connection with it. There's just something that we do when we think that that is the only solution. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome, and that can be obviously very dangerous. You mistake it for love because you believe it's the only thing there for you, that your shadow is the only person that gets you or that loves you, and that's not true, but it can definitely feel like that when you're in the moment. As a non-believer, the references to prayer and God really hit home for me, and that really jumped out at me in this song because I so often hear believers suggest that I just pray, and I've spent more hours on my knees than a nun, praying and crying and begging with a desperation to believe. I have this open heart and this mind and this willingness to serve. I just don't believe, and that's not a conscious decision. It's not something I do out of rebellion. I just can't force myself to believe. I've never felt or heard anything in all of the hundreds, thousands of times that I have prayed, and that only perpetuates the cycle of accusations from these people that say I'm not praying in the right way, or I'm not praying good enough, I'm not praying well enough. And that only enrages me more because they say, oh, your heart must not be open enough, or you're just not doing it in the right way. First and foremost, I feel like if you're really genuine, there really shouldn't be some specific ritual to get through to this deity. That just seems very weird, but I can assure you that I am very genuine. So those things really hit hard to me because I relate to that a lot, where I've thought to myself, where is your effing God? I went through these things and I felt completely alone, no matter how much I begged for strength. I didn't know where to turn to it other than these vices because I felt completely alone. But I actually remember a time in California where I had this altar at the time because I was practicing yoga, and I had an altar of gurus, Jesus and whatnot, Krishna and some other gurus that I looked up to. And I remember being in this dysregulation episode, and I was in active addiction at the time. I was actively using, and I started praying, and I said, I don't want to do what I'm about to do. Whoever's listening, my heart is open, please. I just need a sign. I just need something to help me, because I'm only doing these things because I don't know what else to do. I feel alone and overwhelmed, and I can't bear it anymore. And I was just in my room by myself, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything, and I ended up doing a line off the altar. And I just remember looking up at the picture of Jesus and saying, yeah, I thought you'd be there for me, because I was raised Baptist, and I felt like I was a good Christian person growing up, and I just had such a bitterness at the time, and I don't have that anymore. I don't have any bitterness or resentment toward a creator, because I just can't come to terms with the logistics behind there being one. So I've just accepted that I believe that there's some kind of higher energy I don't understand, but I don't believe in religion. And I do remember going, where the F are you now? And just screaming and just having this fit because I didn't know what to do. So I am very impressed. I love the way his voice can just have those little waves so fluidly. That just makes me smile so much when that happens. So there's such intensity, and then there's just that little hint of this tragic beauty, and I love that. So thank you, William, for suggesting this to me. Guys, good, bad, and crazy, make sure you're sharing your stories here in the comments. That is how we shatter the mental health stigma, is by talking about it. Share this video. You never know who might need to see it. Give it a thumbs up. And thank you again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. I appreciate you so much. If you do want to take advantage of that 10% off of your first month of professional therapy, make sure you use that link in the description, betterhelp.com/Amanda Webster. That's betterhelp.com/Amanda Webster. And I love you guys so much. Mwah.